All right, Ravens flock. So the schedule is officially out. I mean, the teams we were gonna play has technically been out, but now like the actual scheduling and order that we're gonna play them in has officially been released. So as far as the preseason, I don't think that really matters. Outside of John Harbaugh, I don't think anybody cares about what happens in those games. We play the Eagles, the Commanders, and the Bucks. They're probably wins, but if we lose one of them, it doesn't really matter. As far as week one, we playing a rookie quarterback and a really inexperienced team. I think we have the defensive line necessary that's gonna stop Damian Pierce. Obviously, he's coming off of a fantastic rookie season where I believe, well, I could understand why he didn't win Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year, but I low key wanted him to win that because he was balling out last year. But I think we're gonna keep him in check, and then on top of that, I don't think C.J. Stroud is gonna get off to a good start against us. Assuming that our O line really takes another step forward now that they're gonna have a full year together to mesh even better with each other. I don't think Will Anderson's gonna do that good against us either. But we'll see. Again, I'm still a little concerned what's gonna happen at the guard position, but in general, the Texans, I think that's a W. Week two, we played the Bengals, W. Week three, we're playing the Colts again, another rookie quarterback, and Anthony Richardson, one who a lot of people think is gonna be kind of a boom or bust kind of guy. That team has some potential, obviously. Michael Pittman Jr. is over there. I still think he's one of the more underrated receivers in the NFL. So that's a big thing, big issue people got to worry about. They drafted Josh Downs, who some people compared to like a slightly slower version of Hollywood. So and then they still got Jonathan Taylor. So, but it's in general, I still think we're gonna handle them pretty easily. So that's a W. Week four against the Browns. I think we're sweeping the Browns this year. I don't whether Deshaun Watson returns to form or not. I don't believe in him. So I'm really not worried about that. Even though they did, I have liked some of the moves they have made. Obviously, they got Amari Cooper last year. Watson and Donovan Peoples-Jones, they seem to have pretty good chemistry. They went and picked up Elijah Moore. But I just don't think we're gonna have to worry too much about the Browns. Steelers, I think we're sweeping the Steelers too. The only division rival I think we're gonna take a loss to this year is maybe the Bengals. That's about it. Like that's about it. I think everybody else. I think we're gonna just completely wipe the floor with them. So week five against the Steelers, I think that's a W. Week six, we going out to London to play the Titans. I'm gonna say that's a W. It may be tougher than people realize, and I don't think it's just because of the travel aspect of it. Just in general, the Titans and Ravens, it's a pretty underrated rivalry going back like 20 years. Well, in my eyes, it's a pretty underrated rivalry. So I'm still interested to see how that goes. I still think we're gonna win pretty easily though, because they're in a weird space right now. Ryan Tannehill is mid. He's been mid. He's always been mid. He peaked like the best. They got the absolute best out of him that year. They upset us back in 2019. That's the best they were gonna ever get out of Tannehill. Malik Willis, they drafted him, but they're not. They don't believe in him now. Obviously, he didn't look too good, and they're not letting him actually get a chance to develop. And then they went out and drafted Will Levis, who I don't think is gonna be any better than Malik Willis. That they let go of their franchise left tackle. Treylon Burks hasn't done a whole lot since he got drafted. I really don't know I really don't know what the Titans are trying to do at this point, other than rebuild. You got Derrick Henry, but outside of that, I can't see them as a serious threat. Even with us having to travel to London in what would technically be an away game against them, I still think we win that pretty handily. Week 7 against the Lions, I got this as a W, but this is one of those sneaky games where it could go either way. Obviously, we know last time we saw the Lions, we barely squeezed by them. They may still have a chip on their shoulder because of that, the way things ended in that game. And again, the Lions, this Lions team as it stands right now, They are way too talented to underestimate at this point. They had an elite offense. Even with Jared Goff as their quarterback, they still somehow managed to have an elite offense. And even though their defense was mid, I don't know what they've done this offseason to add to their defense because I don't pay them attention like that. But I would not be surprised if their defense starts to take a step forward, especially with Adrian Hutchinson entering his second year. But I still think in general, I still believe we're gonna win that game. Week 8, this is now gonna be one of the most anticipated games of the season in my eyes because we're gonna be playing the Cardinals. Not only is that going to be a W, listen, I have no score predictions yet for any of these games except this one. This one, I'm saying 50-0. I'm calling it right now. 50-0. I have no faith in the Cardinals. Poverty franchise, beyond disrespectful, tone deaf, lacking complete self-awareness, unbelievable. I'm sure all of you saw that post where they put up a picture of Lamar Jackson, and then they posted a screenshot of the Wale and Lil Wayne song "Running Back." Beyond disrespectful, and again they poked fun at a bunch of teams they're playing. Obviously, it was supposed to be like a gag or whatever, but still, like when they took shots at like Stafford and Cooper Kupp and had like the Katy Perry California girls and all that. Like, yeah, it's like, yeah, like those type of jabs were like minor. You taking the running back jab, specifically the running back jab, to me, that wasn't just them trying to, poke a little fun. That was them letting everybody know how they really feel. And them really trying to hit with a low blow. And it's ironic because I'm like, you wish your quarterback was half the quarterback that Lamar Jackson was. You literally wish he was. Like, if you believe Kyler Murray in any universe can compete with Lamar Jackson, you are out of your mind. Like, Kyler Murray as a starter is 25, 31-1. Lamar is 45-16. Kyler's been in the NFL 4 years and has only made the playoffs once, and he lost that game. Regardless of how you feel about Lamar's playoff record, he's made the playoffs 4 out of 5 years. Kyler Murray has 88 passing touchdowns, 23 rushing touchdowns, and 41 interceptions. Lamar has 101 passing touchdowns, 25 rushing touchdowns, and only 38 interceptions. Now, some people may say, oh, well, that's not, you can't compare that because Lamar's played longer than Murray. It doesn't matter. You know why it doesn't matter? Because Kyler Murray has thrown 1,971 passing attempts. Lamar has thrown 1,655. Lamar has thrown 316 less passes than Kyler Murray. And he has thrown far more touchdowns than him. He is a far more efficient quarterback. And for further reference, to compare Lamar's first 5 years to Ben Roethlisberger's first 5 years, Ben Roethlisberger threw 101 touchdowns, rushed for 7 touchdowns, and had 69 interceptions. Lamar threw for 101 passing touchdowns, rushed for 25 touchdowns, and only has 38 interceptions. So for not to get too off topic, obviously, I know a few weeks ago, Roethlisberger, he tried to take a jab as well. But still, at the end of the day, if you think Roethlisberger is supposedly going to be this Hall of Famer, Lamar's on a better pace, not only a better pace than Murray, where he's more efficient, a more efficient quarterback than Murray, but also he is on a Hall of Fame pace. And you're taking running back jabs, Arizona Cardinals. Didn't your GM get exposed? Like, didn't your GM get exposed for like doing coke or something? It was either coke or like alcohol. I don't remember if he was an alcoholic. I don't remember what it was. All I know is he was off of something and it became like a big story that got swept under the rug in like 5 seconds. that franchise is in complete shambles. They won 4 games last year. With or without Kyler Murray, they only finna win 5 games this year. A team like that needs to stay in their lane and fly under the radar until they fix that dumpster fire. You don't need to be one of these teams on social media trying to poke the bear and call all these jabs. Listen, I hope Lamar throws for 600 yards. I hope Lamar puts up 9 touchdowns on him. I hope Roquan Smith has 68 tackles. I hope Patrick Queen has 68 tackles. I hope one of these edge rushers, whether it's Tyus Bowser, whether it's Odafe Owe, Ojabo, whoever, I hope they have 15 sacks. I hope we have 10 interceptions. I hope we put up a historical beatdown on that team, so bad to the point where everybody on that staff gets fired. Everybody. And real quick before I move on, for the few people that want to troll and still try to act as if Kyler Murray is even in the same universe as Lamar, for all this talk of people still trying to say that Lamar is injury prone, which is still not true, I just want to go over something really quick and ask the question, who is really injury prone? Lamar Jackson or Kyler Murray? In the case of Lamar, he had no injuries before 2021. Like, he played every game. He had no injuries before 2021. Obviously, we know in 2021, he had the high ankle sprain from when Myles Garrett threw himself on top of Lamar. Threw himself on top of Lamar in the pocket. And then in 2022, he, I forgot the play on the Broncos, but the play on the Broncos that sacked him and he landed on his knee. And even in those cases, those were injuries that were, serious enough to miss time, but they weren't serious enough, thankfully, to where he's needed surgery. And they're not the type of injuries that that are gonna actually truly change his play style or anything like that. Whereas in the case of Kyler Murray has an injury history going back to at least 2015. At least. I'm not gonna count the 2015 one because he wasn't in the NFL. I'm gonna just count his NFL career though. In 2019, December 2019, he had a hamstring injury. November 2020, a shoulder and AC joint injury. October 2021, a pedal ankle sprain injury. August 2021, wrist injury. October 2022, a hamstring strain. December 2022, a knee ACL tear. And that knee ACL, again, just the knee ACL tear alone is a far more serious injury than Lamar Jackson has ever had. And he got that injury back in December. There's not even a guarantee Kyler Murray plays this year. And even if he does, he might start coming into the season. He might start playing maybe midway through the season. But there's still this idea that Lamar's injury prone when Kyler's literally been hurt every year of his football career up to this point. But I'm going to move on from that. Week 9, we play Seattle. That is a weird game where, believe it or not, I'm actually going to, I think we might take the L on that, man. I'm not going to hold you, man. The Seahawks are still one of those sneaky good teams, man, at this point. I'm assuming Geno's going to have another good season. We'll see. But he's coming off of a great season, obviously. They just drafted Jackson Smith-Njigba, who was my favorite wide receiver in this draft. They still got Tariq Woolen's going to be entering his second year. If I'm not mistaken, I think they brought back Bobby Wagner. I got to check that, but I think they did. But yeah, that Seahawks team is pretty solid. That Seahawks team might be the second best team in that division behind. Matter of fact, they are the second best in that division behind the Niners. because the Cardinals are only gonna win 5 games. The Rams are in shambles. They only finna win 5 games. Yeah. So that's one game where I think we might end up taking an L there. We played the Browns again in Week 10. I think we winning that. We got a Thursday night primetime game against the Bengals. That's a tricky one. I'm gonna say W, but that again, that's one of those games again, like the Lions, where it may sneak up on us, and it may be a trap game. We might take a loss there, but I still think we could come out with the W in that. Week 12, we got a Sunday night prime game against the Chargers. We win in that. Justin Herbert's a stat pattern. He's overrated. Week 13, we got a pretty late bye week, but I mean, it is what it is. Week 14 against the Rams. That should be a pretty easy W. I'm interested to see how Odell does at that point in the season. Assuming Odell has a fully healthy season, which I think he will. I think by this time of the season, he's going to really start cooking, especially against his old team, especially when his old team is in shambles now. You know, like they're in complete rebuild mode. They got rid of Jalen Ramsey. I mean, they still got Aaron Donald, and they still got Kupp. But Stafford, I don't know. I think Stafford is done. I'm pretty biased on it. I've never really been a big Stafford fan, but it is what it is. Week 15 against the Jaguars, another primetime game. I think we taking that. I think we want that revenge. That game that we let slip through our fingers last year, we need that back. Week 16 against the Niners, we taking that W. It don't matter who the quarterback is, man. Like, I'm not a big Brock Purdy fan, but I don't know what Trey Lance is either. And I'm really not what's his name again? I forgot old boy name. Sam something. Like, forgot the guy that went from the Jets to the Panthers and now the Niners. I forgot his name, the quarterback. Either way, I don't think we're gonna have a problem there, even though that team is loaded. Now we're at a point where we are loaded now too. I really don't think, even with it being a away game, I really don't think they're gonna be able to match us, regardless of who they put at quarterback. I just simply don't think they could keep up. Week 17 against the Dolphins, we got to take the W there. I believe we're going to take the W there. At the end of the day, they've had our number for the past 2 years. Like, they beat us back-to-back times. And last year, more than anything, was the most heartbreaking loss, against them. Like, we literally blew a 21-point lead in one quarter. I think this time we're going to get that back. Whether they got to it in there or not, I think we're going to get that back. And this time around, like, again, our defense got off to such a slow start last year. I don't think that's going to be a problem, obviously, this year. And then on top of that, even if we got off to a slow start this year, by this time of the year against them, we're going to be cooking at this point. I don't think we're going to have to worry about that. The Week 18 Steelers game. The Week 18 Steelers game, it may be prime time, it may be not. I don't know. Like, they haven't determined the time yet, but I don't believe it should be much of a problem. But depending on what our record is, like, if this goes exactly like how I'm predicting it to go, we might by this point of the season, we might already be like 14-2 or 15-1. So if we have either one of those records, I don't think they're gonna really play the starters in Week 18. I don't think, like, at this point, I don't think it would really be worth it to even take the risk at that point. And then if we don't play the starters, then I do think at that point we would probably take the L. But, you know, again, we'll see. But as far as records go, I would predict that we would land somewhere around maybe 14-3 or 15-2. The only losses I think we would possibly end up taking this year is maybe a loss at the Seahawks or against the Seahawks. Maybe we split a game with the Bengals. I said earlier I think we're going to sweep the Steelers, but the only scenario I think the Steelers would get a win against us would be if, like, at that Week 18 game, if we have such an excellent record by then, where we already got the division locked up and the top seed locked up, in that situation, I could see us sitting all the starters. And if that was the case, I think maybe we would end up taking an L. But it depends. Like I said, for me, I'm gonna say about 14-3 is gonna be, that's my prediction for our record. This team obviously has a high ceiling. I think the Super Bowl is coming. Even like, this team is so balanced and stacked right now to where our floor is like 11 wins. Our ceiling is like probably 16-1 or something. Like, but still, I'm gonna stay at about, I'm gonna stay for now at the prediction of 14-3. But let me know what your predictions are in the comment section.